Hi, everybody. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel, Politics with Sherry Jacobus. And if you just happen to find me from scrolling around, I hope you like what you see and that you hit the subscribe button and help me out. Um, we are in a full-blown crisis again because of Trump. This is getting worse. I guess I get alarmed when other people are not alarmed, like we're getting too used to this. But for one thing, the Newsom versus Trump begins today. And this is the 3-day, it's a 3-day bench trial, and the court will decide if it's okay for Trump to violate the Posse Comitatus Act by using military forces as domestic law enforcement. I want to note that Carly Kingsley on Twitter is very good on this. In fact, I'm using her thread here as kind of a guide for informing us. So I urge everyone to follow her. That's Carly with a K, Kingsley. So this is at the center of this is Trump's June 2025 order to federalize California's National Guard in LA. He sent troops after immigration-related protests. He claimed that everything was out of control and that he had to do it. But as Newsom argues, it was illegal. It was an abuse of power and a direct violation of the act. So here's the problem with it. There was the Insurrection Act criteria was not met. Trump tried to, play that card. There was no rebellion. There was no state request for help and no breakdown in governance. So this is just Trump, again, violating the Constitution and the law. And unfortunately, he's exposing the weaknesses of a system that for, how many years, how many centuries now since the start of this country we thought was solid. It's not. Maybe we've never been tested, and this is our first real test since the Civil War. I don't know, but it's kind of bad. It's a major constitutional test of federal versus state authority here. So this would set a precedent for how and when a president can use U.S. military forces in our own country against our own people, especially in politically charged moments. So keep your fingers crossed that it holds for Newsom, but it's has to do with the guardrails of presidential power, and we've seen those guardrails being smashed down. What I'd like to see is that there be a way to convey to the military what can they do. Can the National Guard, can anybody in the military, can they disobey orders that are unconstitutional and illegal? In this case, Trump. And I don't have the answer to that, but I hope there are a lot of good lawyers out there. I think they can. But isn't it interesting what Trump is doing also now in D.C.? My city is now under siege. I just moved back here a few months ago after 12 years away, and I'd lived here for 30 years before. Trump is now bringing in the National Guard and federalizing the District of Columbia and telling the homeless people they have to leave. Like, where are they going to go? To their weekend homes, at the beach? So we don't know what his plans are for these human beings. He says there is some place for them to go. He's taken, but he won't say where it is. If you recall, Rudy Giuliani did this in New York. But Trump is going to get rid of the homeless people in D.C. And again, hasn't said what he's going to do with them. This is terrifying. We've seen what he's done with Alligator Alcatraz, which is his own concentration camp in Florida in the Everglades. We've seen him take people and have them sent away to El Salvador in these jungle prisons that are extremely dangerous. And many of them aren't even from El Salvador. They're being exported to countries they're not from. He's doing this with people who are here illegally, who are here legally. He is claiming that people are criminals who are not, so he can send them places. They disappear. My fear is that there's so much of this we won't learn about until long after these people are dead and Trump is gone. And then we all have to live with the fact that this country allowed this to happen, where our MAGA friends said, oh, everything's okay. And we hear a lot of, well, I don't know anything about that. I haven't heard about that. You know what, people? You gave us this dangerous dictator. You have blood on your hands. You gave us Trump. You don't get to play dumb now. If you don't know about it, I tell you something. There's plenty of news sources out there, independent news sources, foreign news sources, some of even our news sources here at home, like maybe CNN sometimes and MSNBC. Turn off Fox News and Newsmax. They are not news, and you know it. There is no excuse for you to not know what's going on. So when someone tells you something is going on, Trump is doing this, you can't get away with, well, I don't know anything about that. You know what? That doesn't let you off the hook. That makes you even more guilty. It is not okay. It is not okay to play dumb, to pretend to be stupid, just to let yourself off the hook. You did this. You are morally and ethically accountable for this. I suggest you all learn about it real quickly. Take 10 minutes a day. Otherwise, I'm sorry, this isn't going to happen. Society is going to start holding you accountable. This is what Hitler did in Germany, and people claimed they didn't know what was going on behind those gates. They smelled the flesh burning. They knew. But unless someone actually proves it to them in their face, so that they can't run from the truth, oh no, I don't know anything about it. I'm innocent. I just don't know anything about that. So I hope you don't let the MAGA in your life get away with that. So now we have Trump. He's going to deploy the National Guard in DC. He's claiming that he has to go in with this military force because of the crime. Crime is at a 30-year low in DC. The only criminals are in the White House. Trump is the worst criminal, the most notorious criminal inside of DC. Crime is down. I have lived in this city a total of more than 30 years, as I just said. Just came back. Crime is down in this city. So when Trump tells the rest of the country, oh, we have to have the National Guard, I have to take over the DC police to take over the city because of crime, he's lying to you. He is lying. And to say he's going to get rid of the homeless, where is he going to put them? That is terrifying. This is a man who puts people in concentration camps. This is a man who has his private militia, these ICE agents, these masked ICE agents, kidnapping people and taking them away. And in some cases, we don't hear from them again. We don't know where they are. People who are here legally, people who are citizens, people who are here legally on visas. These aren't criminals. People are dying in his concentration camp in Florida. There is a whistleblower who quit, who's telling us of the atrocities. There are people who have been brought back out of there who are telling us of the human rights violations, the atrocities. This is Trump. This is the United States of America. It is not okay. And for you MAGA idiots who go, well, I don't know anything about that, and therefore if I don't hear it on Fox News, it didn't happen. Fox News lies to you. I say this as someone who logged in more than about 2,000 TV segments over the course of 17 years, mostly on Fox News, also on CNN and MSNBC. I spent a lot of time at the Fox studios in Washington, D.C. and in New York when I moved to New York. What has been going on there in the era of Trump is not what was there before. There was a bias before. But what there is there now is nothing like it. But that's why the good people left. They don't have the guts to fight them, to stand up, but they'll slowly disappear because they don't want to be a part of it, Neil Cavuto. And the others, there are people that I've known for decades in Republican politics who I know don't believe a word that comes out of their own mouths, but they will do anything to be on TV. Kellyanne Conway, just to name one. They will lie to you. They will sell their souls. They will sell out this country to be on TV. A lot of Republicans that at first went along with Trump, Republican operatives, I left the party the day after they nominated Trump. And people said, look, he's going to lose. We'll all come back together, but we got to do this now. Because again, as I've said before, the establishment, people in DC, in the party, did not support Trump. When he became the nominee, they didn't think he'd win. So some of them, they had to jump on board to maintain their positions as a cog in the wheel. their lobbying contracts, their TV gigs, their column, whatever, their life in Washington. And some held out until he won, but then they got on board. Many of those people have now slithered away and are no longer directly involved in Republican politics. Oh, they may still be a Republican. They didn't make a big public to-do about it. They saw what happened to people like me who've been fighting Trump since the start. And they, jumped out of the way. They didn't want to get blood splattered on them. But many of them have slithered away because they can't stomach this and they don't want to be a part of it. They were at first, but they don't. Are they doing anything to save the country? No, they're just kind of getting out of the way. And the other ones with no soul, truly evil people, are the ones that sold their souls, went full of MAGA, even though they don't believe a word that they're saying, because they want to be on TV. It is that simple. But the MAGA in your life, who are still MAGA or a little bit MAGA, and they claim they don't know this stuff is happening, let them know it, and then that puts them in a position where they have to say, "Oh no, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know anything," or they'll deny it. But at least put them on the spot and make them choose. It is August of 2025. This monster, Trump, has been in our lives, our public political lives, since what, May or so of 2015? March, something like that. Yeah. There's no excuse for not knowing. There's no excuse for not taking a position on this. And again, we each have to do this in our own lives because there's no big entity that's coming in to save us. We've got Gavin Newsom in California doing what he can do to fight him. Tish James did her job. Look what he's doing to her. I mean, it is terrifying, and it might be too late. But then that means you can decide that you're going to go down without a fight. But it's time for people to admit to themselves where they are, to force others in their lives to admit it. At least take a stand. Because doing nothing makes you guilty. You may as well be the one killing these people. Just like people who excuse Trump on what he did with COVID. You may as well be the one that killed these people from COVID. Put the people in those morgue trucks that were lining the streets of Manhattan. Literally. I have friends who lived on the streets. They look out their window and they see these big trucks, these refrigerator trucks on their own blocks with corpses being loaded up. It is well past a time to take a stand. But right now in DC, we are under siege. I am terrified. I am terrified. And what terrifies me more is that other people are not terrified, and other people who feel that they aren't affected by this just think it's hyperbole, it's not happening. Or when they got nowhere else to go with this, they go, well, I don't know anything about that. Don't let them get away with it. I don't have an answer right now for what's happening in DC. I hope the courts come through for Gavin Newsom. I hope we can start rebuilding some guardrails. I'm concerned about Putin coming to Alaska. Here, Putin is a war criminal. He goes anywhere else, he would be arrested. And Trump welcomes him to Alaska. Putin is saying that Alaska still belongs to Russia. We know that Trump wants to hand Ukraine to Putin. Is he handing him Alaska as well? Nothing makes sense. Everything is terrifying. And at a minimum, we need everybody to understand what's happening. Everybody. Maybe not the red hat wearing toothless morons that go to Trump's rallies, but everybody else, the MAGA in your life, you got to make them understand what's happening. They don't get to run from this. They cannot look away from this. Because if they think it won't affect them, it will affect their children. It will affect their grandchildren. And they are accountable. They are accountable for the world that they are leaving their children and grandchildren. Let them know that.